going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Dave Coldwell joins me for the first time in 2023, which is a shock because it's the middle of Feb. And I thought we'd have done, or IFL would have done something, considering it's been a pretty busy boxing period for a change at the start of the year.
Yeah, busy I suppose in news-wise, but there's not been many shows, has there? Yeah, quiet start to the year really.
We live off news, don't we? So that's what I'm basing it off. Obviously at GBM Sports Show tonight, I know it's kind of called small hall, but obviously you walk out there, the production value, it's like medium hall, I would call it.
This small hall stuff, I just see it's non-TV on TV show. It's not a TV show. That's it. It's certainly not small hall. We've got a great crowd in here. Production values are unbelievable. So it's not small hall. It's just non-television.
And how important is it for shows like this to get kind of, I guess, meaningful fights and 50-50 fights? I know obviously people have to learn and build themselves up and they can't all be like that, but for people to come back, they're going to want to see two people in there competitively fighting.
Yeah, it's like, obviously when you've got your prospects coming through and you know you're not a TV promoter, it's very important for you to build these prospects up so then they move on and they become names and they have a good following. So you got to be careful and you don't get them bumped off. But like you said, the fans, whatever they're paying for a ticket, they don't want to see them in against somebody that's just in there tucking up and not even trying to win. And what you'll see tonight and what we've seen so far tonight is that the opponents, they're throwing punches back, and that's all that fans want to see. They want to see a bit of a fight, and yes, they want their man or woman to win, but they want to see some entertainment for the money.
Yeah, and I know with Reese and Hamid later, the roof is going to blow off. Like I said, loads to talk about. I guess we'll kind of go from the start of the year onwards and start with Liam Smith and Chris Eubank. First off, in terms of what we saw in the ring, it seems like kind of a lot of people are shocked, but not shocked because Liam come out the winner, kind of shocked in a boxing sense of kind of how it all unfolded, I guess.
Yeah, I was there ringside, and just, do you know when you've kind of like watched a fighter grow and develop, and they just seem so tough, got a great chin, you can't ever see them getting dropped, it just doesn't seem that way. You think, if they're going to get beat, they're going to get beat on points. That night reminded me of when I was in the same venue when George Groves dropped Carl Froch in that first round, because Froch had never, it seemed that, with Taylor, he went down against Taylor, but he seemed that at that point super tough, super granite. And same thing we've talked about with Chris Eubank Jr. And then to see Liam demolish him like that so quick was a big shock. So it's not a case of it's because Liam won. It's more the fashion of the dramatic ending so early as well.
We kind of don't know what is going to go on next. That's, I guess, for the next couple of weeks to find out. But in terms of what Chris can improve, again, a lot of people I've spoken to have just gone, they kind of can see the same thing happening again if there was to be a rematch, especially at that weight.
Yeah, but again, so you've just mentioned it again, the weight. I'm not saying that is a reason why he got beat, but if it was a big part of the reason why, not that he got beat, but why he was so vulnerable, if he did he do the weight wrong? Did he actually believe in the KFCs and the 50%, 60% or whatever percent it was? If all those little factors have played a part, then he can be better straight away, he can be more resilient straight away, he'll do the weight better for the next fight. Now then what you have to look and dissect is how much better was Liam Smith in that fight, in that short length of time that we got to see, than Chris Eubank was on the night. I feel that the style that Eubank's adopting is leaving too many gaps. It leaves a lot of gaps when he's defending. He uses a lot of energy with defending. He uses a lot of energy when he's throwing and he's missing because he's quite wide. When he's throwing, he's leaving gaps. And with a clever fighter like Liam Smith, who will make you work when you don't want to work and when really you shouldn't be working, but he's making him work like that, then the same results can end there. For me, he has to change. He has to go back more to the old Chris Eubank, where he's tight, tucks up, walks you down and tries to implement his strength and his engine, his work rate, but still with a good jab, still with better feet. So it's like now he's got the great feet when he's moving, but so many gaps when he's firing, and you know, it's just the style for me just doesn't gel for him. So there are ways that he can improve, and there are ways that, you know, if him at his best and Liam at his best right now, well, could the result change? Yeah, it could change because it's boxing. And
Right, picking this back up with Dave Coldwell. I put my old battery in instead of my new one. Classic IFL. Let's talk about Yard Beterbiev and everything in between. And by in between, I mean the Tommy and Jake stuff. Got to talk about, obviously, Beterbiev and Yard first. I know, do you know when everyone says it's going to be a shootout, you kind of never get what you want in boxing, but it kind of, obviously there is technique to it, but it kind of was a shootout for, was it 8-9 rounds?
it was brilliant. It was, and do you know what? How did it go that long with both of those two trading like that? You know what? I was really looking forward to that fight. I was excited about that fight and the build up to it. From as soon as they announced it to fight week, everything, excited about it. But then I sat there at home and I was, and you know, when I don't know any of them. I think I've met Beterbiev once in Chicago, sound. I've met Anthony Yard, I think once maybe, sound. But I don't know any of them. I was just there, sat in front of my TV as a fan, screaming at the telly. It was wicked. It was like being a kid again. I loved the fight. It really was good. Yard, man, showed so much in that fight. I'm such a big fan of his now. I mean, I was a bit of a fan before, but that fight for me, I'm a big fan of him. Do you know what it's like? When Carl Froch, I never liked Carl Froch, and then he boxed Pascal, and I was a massive fan of Carl Froch. This is kind of like what this is doing with Anthony Yard for me. Just what he did in that fight was brilliant. Beterbiev as well. I mean, he was unbelievable, and he is unbelievable. But I think, what was that? That was January. How the hell do you beat that as fight of the year? I mean, whatever is fight of the year, if it's not that, I want to be it.
I mean, obviously, it's going to be of no kind of condolence to Anthony Yard that he didn't walk away with the belts, especially after the Kovalev one. But
yeah,
you look at the, I guess, improvements between the two. If we're being completely honest, the Kovalev fight, he was beaten up in parts, and he had that round where everyone was saying, empty the tank, empty the tank. You look at that, okay, there was times he was getting caught, same with Beterbiev, times he was getting caught. But you look at that, you can see that there is a better fighter in there. I know we'd want to spend Sunday with the belts in bed, but there's such an improvement in Anthony Yard.
100%. I liked the way that he boxed. He boxed really well. He fought really well, but he boxed really well. He showed heart and all that. Like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, what I'm jumping up and down at the screen for. But he actually boxed really well. You could see so much improvements. You know, he's a good fighter, mate. He's a very, very good fighter. And he's against an elite fighter. And that's the only difference. He came up against an elite fighter that can really punch. And when you're in that kind of fight, and you give and take, and you're taking, and then there comes a point in a fight where that, you know, a shot just unravels you, and that was a perfect stoppage. I thought Tundi was absolutely fantastic, and you know, he knows his man. They're very, very close. He's brought him up all the way from the start, from scratch. You know, that's a phenomenal achievement. I know they get a lot of shit, and for the way they carry on in the past.
You can see fighter care is first in that relationship.
You know, he knows his man. He knows his man, and he looked after his man, and he knew that at that point that was it, done. So, 10 out of 10 for him as well. But yeah, you could see the improvements in technique, in style, in boxing ability. And so, add this experience onto it as well. Why can't he go on and become world champion still? What is he, 30?
Well, I know that Beterbiev said to him in the ring after, he told this to BT, that when Artur started his pro career, that's the age Anthony is now. So
there you go. You know, it just goes to show you. And yeah,
it's two serious title shots, isn't they? I know, like, it's never an easy touch, but Kovalev away and Beterbiev.
No, I know. It is a tough ask, but I do think that he'll come back again and he can become world champion. But there are, you know, it's this division again. You know, even domestically, we've got great fights in this division. I just feel that he's now really, even though he's got beat, the performance, the manner that he was in that fight, I think he's projected himself right, you know, to the top of the pile, really.
Yeah, look forward to seeing what he does from here. And like I said, no easy touch, but I'm kind of hoping there's some vacant belts maybe in 18 months. I don't know. Let's talk about Tommy and Jake. Obviously a bit WWE, but did you know what? Tyson Fury is promoting this. Okay, Tommy's involved, but would you get Anthony Joshua down here tonight? And this is the main event here is a better level than Tommy and Jake combined. So like the fact that you got the world heavyweight champion promoting it just shows that the worth around that fight. I know, but the worth around him and Jake seems to be mates.
What
is all that about?
Are you telling me that Tyson wants Jake to win?
No, but what? Like the way he is with Jake as well. Like that. There's just so much value around this fight, and you can see by the way people are talking about it.
Yeah, I was at the launch for the Undisputed game, and then so I got back because I wanted to watch the main event. So I got back just in time to see the face-off in the ring. And when I saw Tommy with his shirt off, I actually thought that there'd been a scuffle. I thought I'd missed a scuffle, and his shirt had got ripped off. But I was like, what's happened here? And then when they've showed him getting in the ring, he's got in without his shirt. I was like, oh my god! But listen, it sells. It's the two big characters, and it's gonna sell. And it's actually an intriguing fight because if you're saying people say, oh, who's gonna win? I don't really know, but and I'll be honest with you, I watched Jake Paul. I watched one of his fights for the first time the other day. When you see the highlights of the clips and knockouts and stuff, I've seen them, but I've never seen him box. So I watched his foot. Is it Woodley? So he's fought him twice. I watched the first one, but I think I've got up to round 5. I don't know if it's round 4 or round 5. Then I've switched it off. I've got to go back and see the end of it. But yeah, that's on that. I don't know if he's got better, but on that performance there, you've got to say Tommy's going to beat him. You've got to say that Tommy will beat him, surely. But maybe I'm going to go and watch a little bit more of him, and he might have improved loads, and I'll be back to thinking, I don't know who wins again. But listen, everybody's going to want to know. Everyone's going to want to watch it, no matter what you want to criticise. It's one of those fights. It's one of those matchups. Don't take it too seriously. I watch it for entertainment. I'm going to watch it for a bit of fun and see what happens.
Obviously, Tommy's being told that he will be left in Saudi Arabia. I know that's only metaphorically, if he's not to win the fight. But you look at someone like... Well, there you go. Do you know what? You look at someone like Jake, and because of kind of the background he's come from in that entertainment scene, I don't think a loss... I can see him recovering from a loss in the sense he'd just go, I'm not a boxer, whatever. The mind... Like, Tommy's going to go in with, like, a serious amount of pressure on them shoulders.
I see Jake Paul and KSI. I look at, honestly... At first, when they came onto the thing, I was like, fucking hell, what are they doing? And it was when they're shouting out real fighters and stuff like that, I'm like, but you know what? I rate them. I rate them for what they've done. I rate them for no, exactly, because they're doing something that others had only wished that they can do. If they decided to take up tennis, Wimbledon will be packed for whenever they play tennis. Whatever they choose to do. So they're choosing right now to box. So even if we only get 1% of people that have come across to watch their fight, that actually goes, you know what, I quite like boxing. I'm watching next time that boxing's on, normal real boxing is on TV, they tune in. We've done well. We've got more fans. So I can't knock them for it. But as long as they're not shouting out your Canelos and stuff like that, then it is what it is.
The winner probably will, mate. The winner probably will. Joshua Franklin, are you happy with that as a fight for Anthony Joshua post Usyk defeat?
So we got excited about Tyson and AJ and that fight going to happen and everything. So anything that comes after that is going to be a letdown. Anything that comes after that is going to be... It's like being told that you've been taken to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant as a slap-up meal for free, and you end up, that's shut, and you have to go to Chippy. It's not...
That's my missus' normal weekend, mate.
Well, it might be the best Chippy in the world, but it's always going to be a come-down. Franklin... I still haven't seen the fight, to be fair, but Franklin, apparently, for all purposes, gave Dillian Whyte a really, really good fight. A lot of people tell me that they thought that Franklin won the fight. So, coming off of 2 losses to Usyk, where you saw him have a bit of a meltdown in the ring, he's now gone and got himself a new coach. He's got a bedding with his coach. Why is that such a bad fight for him to take? If he's giving Dillian a really rough fight, then and if AJ's finished or on the slide or anything like that everyone's saying he is because he's lost twice to Usyk, then I see it's a fair fight for him. Bring him back with that, and then he can go and chase your Furies and Wilders. Oh, you just them fights aren't going to happen next. So just what you're going to do is just sit there and not fight, and then go. So if he goes straight into a big fight like that, remember when they were talking about the Fury fight, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he shouldn't be going straight into that fight. He needs to have a fight first." So it is what it is. You can never please everybody, and you've got to do what you think's best for yourself. And obviously they think that's the better fight for themselves.
See, we hear a lot about Anthony Joshua's desire to continue, or like that's more people questioning his desire rather than anything surrounding him and his camp. Changed and tried with Robert Garcia, hasn't worked. Looked abroad now with Derek James. For someone who people are questioning his desire, the fact that he's trying to change things, surely that shows. Look, there is an Anthony Joshua who wants to get the Joshua of old back. It's not like he's kind of just sticking with his laurels, and he has been the same since day dot.
Ultimately, nobody knows what's in his head. Nobody knows, and because we've seen in the past how it maybe contradicts, or how he seemed confused with certain things, and who knows what I saw a little clip where he said he's motivated by money now, and you know what? If that's his motivation, that's his motivation. I don't see what the problem is that, because if he then says, "Oh, what are you motivated by to fight Tyson Fury for my legacy?" People are going to laugh at him and say, "What legacy? Oh, you've been done by Usyk. Oh, you're going to get battered by Fury. You don't really want to fight." People aren't going to believe him. If he's turned around and said he's motivated by money, so, but people have still got a problem with that. Oh, you've got too much money. What do you want money for? Well, if you want money, you can't please anybody. Listen, you've got one career. He's got to do what's best for his career, and whether we agree with it or not, it's none of our business. We either watch it or we don't. Will I watch the Franklin fight? Yeah, I would. Would I? If it were pay-per-view, would I watch it? I don't know. Probably because of the intrigue of seeing what AJ's like coming back, new trainer, all that. There's that sort of narrative. I don't know. You've just got to make your own mind up on what you believe, what you want to see.
I mean, with someone like Anthony Joshua, because of his not just commercial value, but because of having Anthony Joshua on your CV as a win is kind of so presentable for a fighter. So when you look at it like that, Anthony Joshua will never be frozen out of the top level of heavyweight boxing. Yes, you might have Fury and Usyk tying up, and there's Joe in the background with the WBO or whatever. But will you ever really freeze Anthony Joshua out until he confirms his retirement?
Yeah, because he's too much. Like you say, on your CV, that's a great name on your CV. Also, if you're fighting Anthony Joshua, you're getting paid really, really well. So there's always that there. But if it turns out he's not good enough, not ever good enough to beat Tyson Fury, to beat Deontay Wilder, or to beat Usyk, then really is the fourth best heavyweight of his era, of his time. That's not bad, is it? And to have established what he's two-time heavyweight champion, won all the belts that he's won, made the money he's done, had the impact on people's lives. Listen, let's not forget. I mean, I've had fighters on his undercards. I think Bellews might have boxed on his undercard. Hope he Price boxed out in Cyprus, in Saudi. So there's been a lot of people that have had opportunities on the back of his success. Just like on the back of Tyson Fury's success, you've got a lot of fighters that probably wouldn't be getting on big shows like that are in stadium fights and things like that. And so whenever we get a big flag bearer, there's a trickle-down effect that helps and supports fighters that are coming through, And so once they get beat and once they're fading or whatever, then people like to just kind of rubbish their achievements. But you can't rubbish what they've achieved. You can't. Once they've achieved it, that can never be taken away. And that goes for, if Fury gets trounced in his next fight, I can't see it, but if he did, you can't take away his achievements and what he's done, the story of and the comeback and everything from his life, and you can't do that. So it is what it is in the moment. Do you know what I mean? You just value it for what it is, and if that's his ceiling, that's his ceiling.
No, 100%. Just one more thing. Talk to me about the boys and what's to come. Obviously, Hopi is fighting for one of the WBA straps on the Newcastle card, and is Muhammad on that card as well. Yeah. The big schedules come out, so I kind of need to re-jog them.
First, I've got Stephen Cairns boxing on the Ritson O'Hara Davis bill. Yeah, good fight. So he's boxing on March 4th in a 6-rounder. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Hope Price boxes for the WBA Continental title. a bit of a step up this year. I want people that have been there, box at good levels, but obviously not still at the top level, just to soak up that experience. This is the first one of that. I'll hopefully get 4 fights in this year. Young Prince Ali, Muhammad Ali, he's going to be making his...
No pressure.
No pressure, what a name. But that's why we're going down the Aladdin route, Prince Ali, rather than the greatest.
The Aladdin route. I'm waiting for that Nassim style carpet entrance then.
See if we can get Will Smith in. But he's talented. And he can punch as well. Can punch a little bit. Very, very fast. Super fast. And he's developing. He's only young. He's literally only just 18. So don't expect him to be, after 4 fights, be moved quickly and all that sort of crap. That's not going to happen. He needs to bet into the pros, and then we'll see what happens there.
I'll wait for him to fly like a butterfly. Dave, cheers, mate.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife for saying completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.